Well, it's Steve Arts 89. Well, Jimmy Kimmel has been cancelled. This is very disturbing. His show's been pulled indefinitely by ABC because he made some comments about Charlie Kirk. Comments which I don't think are that inaccurate. That is supposedly the reason that the comments were inaccurate. Basically, what he said was that the guy who killed Charlie Kirk, and it was a murder, not an assassination because he's not a politician, was from the right side. He was from their side. He was someone who was raised in a conservative religious home with MAGA parents, and he, had up until this point been a part of that culture and that side of politics, and maybe he's had a last minute ideological change, which is why he did what he did, but up until then he was one of them from that side of politics. So the fact that he said that and he's being cancelled for that essentially is disturbing, because if you'll recall, when Colbert was cancelled, Trump, although they said it was, for industry financial reasons, Trump took credit for it and said Jimmy Kimmel is next. And Jimmy Kimmel has indeed been next. So how can we pretend like we didn't know this was going to happen, and we didn't know that it's not all about Trump and his politics and getting rid of the people that disagree with him? And it's really disturbing. Now, they put Kathy Griffin through the Trump, wood chipper a while ago. She's managed to survive on some level. She's still technically cancelled. She's done I think one tour and a documentary and some specials. She's managed to survive, but she, has essentially still blacklisted from mainstream. Now, Colbert got a lot of sympathy from the industry. He just got an Emmy and he got a standing ovation because the industry knows this was a political thing that happened to him. And the same thing's happening to Kimmel. Now, Kimmel came out in support of him, along with a bunch of other comedians. But it's just really disturbing to think that a comedian can be pulled off the air for an opinion or a joke even about a government or politics. It's just something that shouldn't happen. Artists and comedians should be free to express whatever. And that's the irony of the whole Charlie Kirk reaction. All these people cancelling and threatening people, and it's like, you realise he actually said hate speech basically should be allowed. You should be totally free to say whatever you want, no matter how wrong you are. And that's something that he, used, that ability. And he, the only thing he ever did, I think, of any value was to actually claim he believed in, or there was a value to, true free speech, which doesn't really allow for hate speech, but it does allow, for you to disagree with people. I just find it all really disturbing, and I'm wondering who's next. I mean, a while ago, there were a lot of stories saying The View had been cancelled, and this is just a bunch of opportunists, because The View goes on hiatus, they have a break every year around August, and then they start up like all the other shows in September, because they're not a news show technically. They don't go 24/7, 52 weeks a year. They actually have a period off. It's not a long period because they don't have a lot of production time, because they're a talk show, not a drama or something like that. But when they went off like normal, all these right-wing YouTubers and news outlets were saying, oh, now The View's been cancelled, they're taking it off air, that's what they get, they're being, cancelled because they're saying all these wrong things. And everyone knew they're just going on their usual, well, everyone who follows the show or is in the industry knows that they were just going on their regular hiatus. But, the people making all these articles and all these videos, they're making them for their base, telling their base what they wanted to hear, that, oh, now The View's been cancelled, and they got a bunch of clicks and views. And now that The View's come back on like normal, like last week they started up again, silence. No, oh, we made a mistake, misinformation, inaccurate. No, none of that on their side, of course. But Kimmel makes a statement they think is inaccurate, that I still think is accurate, and he's taken off the air. And we don't know for how long. It says indefinite. They may have cancelled the show and they just don't want to say it because they want to try and soften the backlash, or they're just trying to take the heat off them for a bit, like when Whoopi Goldberg did make a statement on The View, something that a lot of people were offended by, they thought were inaccurate. I didn't really disagree with what she said, it's just the way you look at it. She was, taken off there without pay for like a week or 2 weeks or something like that. So something like that still is kind of wrong if it's about politics. But yeah, so I just had to comment on that. I thought it was really outrageous and disturbing, the fact that, you know, Trump, I believe Trump did this, that his politics and the people either answering to him or afraid of him are acting, I think, just, they're just so scared that they're just, you know, proactively doing stuff like this, I think, maybe what's happening. But then again, him saying Kimmel is next is his way of telling them, I want Kimmel gone. And now he's gone. For a fairly weak reason. But I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of the whole thing. I think it's very dangerous and very scary and very disturbing to see this continue to happen, see the continued censorship and banning and cancelling of people who are, you know, progressive or on the left. It's just leading to fascism, and it's just, well, it's already here, and it's disturbing.